This is the Inquisitive Minds Podcast.
Fucking pussy.
And that was the sweet sounds of Dave Stewart. Thank you for tuning in to the Inquisitive Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Smith. With me today, we have a stand-up comedian, an entertainer, a DJ, a father, most importantly, a friend. Welcome to the program, Dave Stewart.
Thank you very much, Johnny Smith. So good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too, as the Pittsburghese call you, Dave Start.
Stop, Dave Start.
Stop, Dave Start.
That is one of those things that, like, no one believes until they see it and happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'll be with a comic who maybe not be from Pittsburgh, and we'll be somewhere, and, like, I'll see, like, maybe a friend of mine or, like, use someone from, like, my job or something, and they'll see me, and they'll hear it in the wild, and they're like, "Wow, they call you Dave Start." I'm like,
in
"I told
the
you."
wild. I love it.
Yeah, my name is Dave Stewart, and they say DayStart, Dave Start.
Dave Start. So, Dave, man, first off, congratulations on the baby.
Thank you very much. You as well, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any
Yeah.
longtime listeners know we talk about the baby on this show every episode.
Amazing.
It just doesn't stop, you know.
Yeah.
Little wild woman. How old is yours now?
She will be, actually, she is 7 weeks today.
Oh, 7. Okay.
Yeah,
Congrats.
brand new out the gate. Brand
Fresh
new.
out the wrapper.
Yeah, still warm.
What are your first thoughts on fatherhood?
It is amazing. It's like, I was telling Nate, one of the comics here, before we started that, if you believed that you were smart, then you have a baby, and nothing will break you down faster than when you're holding this little creature that can't talk to you, that's dependent on you. They're screaming as hard as they can, and you're like, I changed your diaper, you just ate, you just had a nap, and I cannot figure out, I burped you, what is wrong? Nothing will make you feel sincerely dumber. It is so humbling.
It's a wild time.
Yeah.
It is wild.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't realize before, and I still don't quite understand now, how a baby can take a shit and it go all the way up its back and all the way up its front like a beautiful little disgusting horseshoe. I still don't understand it. My baby still does it on the regular.
My wife had to deal with the blowout. Well, I was there with her, obviously, and she was like holding our baby, and baby was just wearing a diaper, which kind of hang out having this lazy Sunday, and we could tell she was pooping, so we're gonna wait till she was done. And my wife got up, and she was like, wait, I need help. And she had done a blowout, somehow didn't get anything on my wife's clothes, but her hand looked like she stuck her hand in a pile of like cream of wheat. You know what I mean? It was just awful. So I'm like, listen, nothing will make you closer with your partner than wiping poop off of their hands and then off of your baby.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a beautiful experience, disgusting at times, but I love it. You know,
Yeah.
she just turned 7 months.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you know it's been wonderful. She's so inquisitive and happy.
Yeah.
She's such a happy baby.
That's great to hear. I think that my baby's happy. I don't know very well.
Yeah, I don't know
but-
at what point like the smiles start,
Yeah.
but once they do, man, they never stopped.
She smiled in her sleep a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm like, because you're kind of like, because now babies, when they're born, go into REM sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually when like dreams happen. You're like, what the fuck are you dreaming about, kid?
I remember
Like,
having that same conversation. Yeah, like what can she be dreaming about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, having a nightmare about like, yesterday's poop.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was that a good bottle? Like at this point, you can't even really see. So like it just shadows making you smile. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's wild.
What was I gonna say? I do find that like, because I've first time dad, and I'm the only child as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like, my daughter, first time I ever changed a diaper.
Okay.
But it's true though. I think that when it's your kid, you don't think about it. You go into like parent mode. Poop and pee and puke don't freak you out.
Yeah, it's not as bad anymore. I mean, it's still like, what are we doing? But but it's not like, get it away from me.
Yeah, it's like it is what it is.
I got to do it. I got to clean this.
Yeah, like she can't. So
And then, I don't know, like I don't want to get too graphic, but it was a different experience for me changing a little girl at first.
yeah,
Because, different parts. And I was worried about like being too delicate
yeah.
But now I'm like, nope, got to clean that out of there.
Yeah.
Can't get an infection.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I think one of the funniest things about like because all my friends that have boys are like, oh man, he's pissed in my face. He's pissed in his own face. My mom loves telling my wife the story about me peeing in my own face, which was like last month. No, but but when you have a girl though, oh man, so many times when like she's wearing an outfit and we have the onesies that snaps like down the crotch, you know what I mean? And so you unsnap the crotch, diapers off, you're in the middle of changing her, but little girls, their pee doesn't go up, it goes down and then up their back. And so all of a sudden you went from changing a diaper to now you have a kid that's covered in their own piss.
Yeah.
And that's something they don't prepare you for, man.
It makes me think I know nothing about geometry or
Yeah.
physics because how they get their little fluids wherever they do. It's so wild.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, like, I know people that aren't parents that might be listening to this are like, oh, this is gross. Like, listen, when you're a parent, you're like, your life is bodily fluids.
Yeah,
That's
I've
your life.
successfully made the transition. I'm a stay-at-home dad now, so like the kids are my life.
Yeah.
I memean that's all it is, really.
Yeah.
Like I don't think about this is disgusting or any of that. I just go in
Yeah.
is what we got to do.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I was telling, like, I got poop in my hand early this morning. She peed on me yesterday, and puke is a daily thing. So but honestly, and I'm sure you agree, someone could walk in here right now and be like, Dave, I will give you $1 billion with a B dollars for your kid. I would say no, thank you.
I'd say no, thank you, but I can make another one. I can make another one.
You thought about it real hard. You're like,
Billion is very life changing.
You could buy a kid for $1 billion.
He's got $1 billion to give me. I'm sure she's gonna have a fine life. Look at me, sweetie. I've got no teeth. I don't have a job. I don't have my shit together. This man is giving me $1 billion. You don't just give everything you have. That's just shaving off the top. You'll be fine, sweetie. Learn fancy words.
Did you do the thing when when we left the hospital? I remember just being like, they're gonna just let me bring a baby home with me. Like, have they met me?
Yes. To that effect, yes. I'm in there with teardrops on my I look like a nut job, and I had that thought.
Yeah,
I'm
look
like they just
No, I'm sorry.
they just gave me this little girl.
Yeah.
We're like, you guys can go home. Is your car seat cool? That's all we care about. Whoa. And honestly, like I grew up in a daycare, so I was very familiar with kids and all that. But when it's your own and when they're so tiny, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I didn't want to break her.
Yeah.
I was scared to dress her. I'm like, oh. At one point, like when she was first came out, her forearms were as big as my thumbs.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my god, this little tiny thing, and then I see her mother getting her dressed. Shoop, 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 shoop.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be all right.
Yeah. This is my boss at Espresso A Mano in Lawrenceville. He has two kids, and he told me, he was like, listen, dude, like, your kids, like babies are fragile, but they're not made out of glass, is what he told me. So he's like, and something that I've kind of been my mantra is like, there is like 7.5 billion people on this planet, and they all had to be born, all of them.
You know what? I did a lot of thinking about, like obviously, my baby's probably gonna make it because I see all these other fucking ridiculous people that like just don't take care, don't give a shit, don't listen to doctors or anything. They grew up, they're gonna be okay. And then I started thinking, like, remember when the infant mortality rate was like
50%
because they didn't wash their hands or anything, or they like 80% of kids died before 5 because you're out in the fucking wilderness.
Yeah, they got like whooping cough, or like they got black fever, or they got turtle pox or something, some wacky disease that isn't around anymore.
Every time something happened to her, my first thought was, poor thing wouldn't have made it 100 years ago. Like, seriously, it just, I don't know why that kept popping into my head.
Just read the book Angela's Ashes.
Yeah.
It'll fuck your shit up.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I just was so worried, and then I kept thinking, man, how the fuck these other people do it?
Yeah.
We got to be all right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And like, I think that, like, you know, my wife is like, listen, the fact that we are worried and we care means that we're good parents. The fact that you're worried and you care, it means that you're a good parent. You know what I mean? Because shitty parents don't care. They're not worried.
They're like, fuck her. She's crying.
Yeah. Like, she's fine.
I hear a little, and I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on?
Man. Tell you what, the first night. So, all right.
This episode, by the way, is called Dad Talk.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
This is what's happening in our lives right now.
Yeah.
Boom, baby.
I
Real
just
life.
came from my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, like, my wife's water broke on a Saturday, and our kid wasn't born until Monday morning. So it was a long labor. Okay.
See, I don't know nothing about that because she had a C-section.
Yeah.
My bonus baby, Delilah, is 3.5, and she was a C-section.
Yeah.
So I guess it was the obvious choice to make this a C-section. Forget my ignorance. Like, ladies out there, I'm obviously not an expert, so if I'm saying things that aren't lining up, don't crucify me. Just tell me I'm wrong. But, like, she had a C-section.
So yours was more, it was like kind of scheduled? Like, coming this day? Okay.
Yep, it was scheduled. And, like, I don't want to feel robbed because I feel like this was very well organized and I liked it.
Yeah.
But I just I didn't have the experience of like, oh, my water broke. Do you have the bag? But on the other hand, I didn't want that experience that people have of like, oh, she was in labor, 24, 36, 80 hours.
Yeah.
Like, how was that?
It was.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
I guess I want to ask. The moment, like, the water broke, I'm sure you guys weren't clueless. There was a baby coming at some point.
Yeah.
But, like, did you feel panic?
Dude, you feel every possible human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from the time my wife's water broke to the time that our baby was born, I felt like, anxiety, fear, dread.
Yes.
You
in waves, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah, you feel elation. You feel more nervous than you've ever felt in your entire life. It's every emotion you can imagine. You feel it, and so we're old people, okay? Like
I've come to that. I've drugged myself to that realization, but it's been painful.
So we're 38. My wife and I are both 38 years old. Okay, so when we were. My wife's water broke at like 8:30. We were going to bed on a Saturday night.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah. We were like in our jammies.
Yeah,
going to bed 8:30 in the evening, right, on a Saturday night. I could hear kids outside playing, and we're going to bed on a Saturday night. Okay, we're wild people, boy. We're out here doing stuff, right?
I went to bed the other day when the sun was still out.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you can get that sleep, just get it. It's exhausting.
So she goes to the bathroom. And she's in there, and I'm like getting ready to go to bed. And she goes, "Hey, babe." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "My water just broke." Well, it's so this thing called her mucus plug came out.
Mm-hmm.
So her plug came out. And she's like, "We're having a baby," and I was like, "Can I take a shower? I stink right now." Because I was stinky. I was in the shower in the morning. I was like, I can't go to the hospital and still be kind of funky. So she was like, "We have time." So I take a shower, we get to the hospital, and it was kind of like a long time for her to get dilated enough. So they don't even consider you start to push until like 9-10 centimeters dilated, right? So it was like, this is Saturday night. It was like early Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and she was still like 3 centimeters. Do you know what I mean? And it was so like we were nowhere near.
When she was in the hospital and waiting for it to be properly dilated, is there like pain involved? Is she having contractions? Any of that?
Yeah, contractions started like early Sunday morning. And she had an epidural. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where like and I'm sure you felt the same way, is that your partner, your wife, whomever is going through all of this stuff, and it's painful and it's invasive, and it's one of those things where like everyone in this hospital is going to see your wife's entire body, and so it's like you feel so much for your partner. You wish you could like do something more.
Yeah.
You do.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't want to say helpless, but like.
No, you can say helpless. I felt helpless.
You know,
yeah.
I wanted to do everything I could, and at some point there's just nothing but obviously sit there.
Yeah.
You know, and be
And just
kind.
be supportive.
Yeah.
Hold her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like stroke her hair.
Anything she needs, just try and tell her sweet things.
Yeah.
In between the pain.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. We had our baby at McGee.
Yeah, so do we.
So like I was very confident about that though. I was like, this is what they do here.
Yeah.
This is their shit. If I want to go anywhere to have baby, it's going to be here.
Yeah.
You know, so like the panic that would pop up, because, you know, weird thoughts pop in. Oh, what if they don't do this right? This is what they do. They deliver babies here.
Yeah. And like this is where you go in Pittsburgh or West Virginia or even sometimes Ohio. You go to McGee because that's where they do that there. You know what I mean? You know.
And I'll say to those people, everyone that we dealt with, all the doctors, all the orderlies, nurses, whoever, wonderful bedside manners.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful bedside manners. And I'm sure that comes from doing that.
Yeah.
You know, just dealing with giving birth.
I'll tell you what, though. Okay. Every day at McGee was fantastic. But right now, I don't know her name. I'm going to put one lady. I'm going to put her on the spot right now.
You're on fucking notice, lady.
Yeah. So we are it's like the second day we're in the hospital. Baby's out. She's on her little side bassinet glass thingy, right? We're chilling. Hey, my wife needs to get like some kind of, temperature and different vitals taken, right? This lady comes in. My wife's sleeping. My daughter's sleeping. We're having quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
Lady rolls on in. She's the only one who she's rolled on in, speaking full volume, being all loud and shit. She's like, "Oh, is this the baby with the hair?" Because our daughter was born with a full head of hair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She takes off our daughter's little cap to keep her head warm. Takes it off. Wakes my wife up, and she kind of like instead of very softly scooting the baby out of the way, kind of like pushed her. I thought, kind of like it was like crap. Like she was like a she was like the TV on wheels from middle school.
Yeah,
that's what she did, and I was kind of like, "What do you like? Can we help you?" And so I was like, "All right, are you done doing what you gotta do?" She's like, "All right, have a nice day." And I told nurse like, "Don't let her come back in this room."
Yeah,
I'm like, she's done.
I don't want to discredit your feelings. I just for that lady's sake, I'm glad we don't know her name, and I'm hoping it was just new dad syndrome, where like, because you get that too, where you're like just on edge, you're like, like prowling for trouble.
Well, but she was the only one though that like did anything that was like not professional. I thought, you know what I mean, everyone else at McGee was absolutely fantastic. You know,
you think this baby? Get this baby the fuck out of here! Get this baby out my goddamn way!
Get the corn out of my face! Did you ever see Nacho Libre?
No, I've never seen that.
So good, man.
I've heard good things.
It's so good. It's a Jared Hess movie. Jack Black is based on a true story. I know this is like we're switching gears so hard right now, but it's such a silly movie. Especially if you're at all interested in jazz cabbage, the devil's lettuce, Jamaican lamb's wool. It's a good movie for that.
You know, I like Jack Black, just not in movies. I will say I liked him in the Jumanji movies.
Yeah,
but he was like, doing his thing.
Yeah,
but like as far as Jack Black in movies, I'm not a biggest fan.
I like Jack Black in like I like him in like an R-rated comedy. I like when he gets to like be.
I liked
full Jack Black,
Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was great.
Yeah,
but like School of Rock, Shallow Hal, stuff like that. I'm just like,
Shallow Hal is like a legit pretty shitty movie.
Well, especially it did not age.
It did not age well.
All.
No, it did not age well.
I mean, honestly, when I saw that movie, and what is this movie? 20 years old, longer
at least.
I wasn't a fan of it just because like I don't look at what they thought was an ideal woman and like go, oh, that's what I want.
Yeah.
It's like, so it never occurred to me to be like, oh.
Well, I guess so. The point though of Shallow Hal is that it's supposed to be
the beauty on the inside bullshit.
Well, but it's also that it's what he thinks personally of what's an ideal woman is that like how beautiful you are on the inside will then reflected in how he sees beautiful people on the outside.
Yeah.
So it's literally that character's personal preference.
I mean,
not
let's
me
be
or
honest,
you.
though. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have got made if Hollywood didn't feel like that was more of a status quo across the country.
Oh, for sure.
Than normally.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it's also noted, though, and again, I'm not defending that movie.
This guy
They're-
is
they're-
really
yeah.
defending Shallow Hal hard here.
No, but it's that character, though, also is supposed to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a dick. So that's what this douchey, because, you know, like, everyone, especially when you're in your 20s, everyone got that buddy who is just, you have a buddy who's like, he's your friend, but you know he's a dick
Mm-hmm.
and he ain't good looking. And for
Mhm.
some reason, he only likes women who are like way out of his league.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you think you look like, buddy?
We all know delusional people.
Everyone does. And so I think that like Shallow Hal reminds me of that, is everyone knows that guy who looks like Hal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of
I mean, I looked like Hal.
Oh, get
at
outta
one
here.
point. At one point, I had my longer hair. I had, I looked like Hal at some points. I was
Man.
fatter than Hal. How about that? When that movie came out, I was fatter than Hal.
You know what? I'm working on a bit right now. It's not done, but I have this premise where it's like, because it's, okay, so Homer Simpson is supposed to be like,
Oh, man, I know.
He's supposed to be like really, really fat,
I
right?
know.
Like really, really fat, right?
I'm 70 pounds more than Homer.
Do you know how much he weighs on the show?
Like 237 or something.
239.
239.
I can, Stonecutters, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's supposed to be, I'm like, I would rip my dick off and throw it in the river to weigh 239. That's my like ideal weight.
Dave, when I was on meth, I weighed 252. I weighed still 13 pounds more than Homer. Like, that's ridiculous. And he's cartoonishly and humorously fat.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man.
But you're a fan though. You're a Simpsons
Oh,
fan.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually having this thought because I think that Simpsons fans, I sporadically just have Simpsons thoughts.
Mhm.
Okay, what's your favorite bit, like a visual gag, of Homer overeating? Because I have like top 3.
I tell you what, when you are not prepared to answer
here,
specific questions.
I'll name a few. Okay, so these are my favorite Homer Simpson overeating gags.
Okay.
My number 1 favorite one is when he stays up all night eating the individual wrapped pieces of American cheese. He stays up all night long and just go in like one and eats it. And he eats at the end of the night, in the morning, he has a pile of like plastic wrappers from eating like individual like craft cheese slices.
Yes.
That's number 1.
Okay.
2 is when he won't stop eating the sandwich. He buys like a 9-foot-long hoagie
Okay.
and won't stop eating it. And he finally gets food poisoning and he won't stop eating it. And he keeps because it's like at the end of it, the sandwich is like purple and blue. It has like mushrooms growing on it. Yeah, that's amazing. It's number
Okay.
2. And my favorite one of my favorite ones is the one where him and Marge go to the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet, and he's taking the steam tray out of the buffet of the shrimp, and he keeps eating, and he eats till the restaurant closes, and they made him leave. And he's like, it wasn't all I could eat. And then he sues the restaurant, and when Marge is on the stand, the lawyer for the restaurant is like, and what happened after you left the restaurant? And she's like, we drove around looking for other all-you-can-eat buffets, and we couldn't find one. And she cries and goes, then we went fishing.
So I'll give a little bit of an answer. I don't have a favorite gag, but one of my favorite episodes is when he became a food critic. And
Yeah.
and they were going to like try and murder him and poison him
Yeah.
with that like giant eclair with butter and poison and just absurd levels of whatever it was to kill him. And if I remember correctly, didn't he still eat it?
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now, if we're talking about Homer's weight, I want to know Chief Clancy's weight because he's the real heavy hitter.
Oh, Chief
And
Wiggum.
And you know what? Maybe my body structure is more of a Barney. You know, I don't really drink, but if they consider it a beer gut, I'll take it.
Well, tell you what. First of all, I really love that, and it's good continuity in the show. By the way, it's good show continuity. If you watch a lot of Simpsons, as I do, and I'm sure you have,
Yes.
there are times when Barney's on the wagon, If you watch, there's times when Barney has like
And
a
he's
job.
doing great.
There's times his hair's combed.
Like without
he's
alcohol,
sober.
he'd be a millionaire.
Yeah. Well, remember, like Homer caused it. They were studying for the SATs, and Homer was like, "Oh, come on, one beer." And Barney has a beer, and the next thing you know, he's like, and
Yeah.
it's all over.
I don't know what it was, if it was a Treehouse of Horror or if it was just like an offshoot episode, but I always remember this song that Barney was singing in the gutter out in front of Moe's, and it was just like, $2 a glass, that's not a pretty penny. Do you remember that at all?
I kind of do. I have like I feel like you know, I've been watching Simpsons for 30 years, so
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
it all kind of like something goes
Some
together.
of it blends together.
But I
yeah.
know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
And you gotta love the film festival. And his movie was so good.
Yeah.
You know, don't cry for me. I'm already dead.
That's where the song came from.
oh,
It was yes,
okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
okay.
It was in black and white,
Yeah,
and then at the end it said "Fiend."
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly where that came from.
I love so Hank Azaria does the voice also of Lou the Cop,
Okay.
and that voice is based off of Sly Stallone. If you listen closely, kind of does a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, hey, Chief. It's a
Okay,
little
yeah.
funny, you know? But man, you know what's funny is that I think it was last week. 26 years we lost Phil Hartman.
Oh, rest in peace.
R.I.P. Phil Hartman, one of the funniest dudes of all time.
Killed by his wife, right?
Yeah, killed by his wife. And well, you know the story about that is that allegedly it was that his wife.
He was trying to buy NBC.
What?
No, I'm just,
Oh.
it's just a joke. Just a joke.
I was like, what word? That's so funny. Is that allegedly his wife was sober for many years and then hung out one night with Andy Dick, and Andy Dick gave her cocaine, and that's her. So allegedly, John Lovitz has blamed Andy Dick for Phil Hartman's death for 26 years now. That's like the thing, yeah.
You know, it's surprising that Andy Dick is successful as he is, and
Yeah.
people are going to be like, "Oh, what success?" Yeah, he's been in TVs, movies, and all that, and I've never heard anyone say anything good about him.
Well, you know what? It's like
I've heard so much negative.
I think that Andy Dick, of course, I don't know him clearly. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where you're like, there's people that they're their own worst enemy. Where you're like, if you could just stop doing all the bad shit that you do, imagine what your life could have been. Do you know what I mean? Like I know, like what's Bradley Cooper?
Is this your around the way of defending Weinstein? If he could have just stopped the bad shit, what could have been?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. But no, so like Bradley Cooper used to have a drinking problem.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, and once he was, you know, it was made on TV and movies, right? He had been on Alias and he did Wedding Crashers.
Okay.
While still drinking. Once he quit drinking and he could focus on his career, it skyrocketed. If Andy Dick could have just like not done drugs and drank so much and not been such like he's in his own way.
Another good example, Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly. Yeah.
Once he got himself together.
Yeah. You know, and he was uninsurable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Where I think that like when he did the movie Gothica, they had to he couldn't get paid till the movie was over.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So typically when you so famously this podcast is awesome, by the way. I'm having a great time. You
It's your second appearance, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Because this is why, because you converse and think like I do, which is it goes like boop, foom, 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 and it all makes sense to us.
Well, my mom's crazy.
Oh.
So, you know, had to keep up with her. I'm just joking, Mom. Relax. She's not going to watch this. And she is fucking out of her mind at this point. She's going see now. But, no, yeah. I you know what? It's the explosions that go around.
It's a conversation, yeah.
What it is I try not to hold on to a thought too long.
Yeah.
Because if a conversation is organic and it changes,
Yeah.
just shift with it.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, remember this thing about the baby's toes from 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Like, it's pointless.
Well, plus the thing is this, man. When you are a new parent, you have a baby at home. You just go with the flow, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know my name sometimes.
I dig that. Like yesterday, we went to the zoo.
Yeah.
And it was great. Stephanie carried Cordelia on her chest, and I walked with Delilah. most of the time. But Delilah's been throwing like little fits. Nothing bad,
yeah,
just
yeah,
where
yeah,
she's like giving me the business.
Yeah.
But her linguistics aren't up to par right now. She struggles with that. So it's in her own little language.
This episode has been sponsored by Goat Grinder. Check out goatgrinder.com to see their full line of products.
All right, hey everybody. My name's Ron. I'm the owner of Goat Grinder, and this is the Inquisitive Minds podcast. We're sponsoring this forever now. We're gonna give Johnny $1 million, so everybody watch this. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, so it's grinder, sifter in a mason jar. It's this is your pressure band, keeps it all together. It's your top grinder, bottom grinder. When you're ready to grind up, slip it on there, give it a snug, throw in, I don't know, whatever you want, and then off center post. You don't smash everything in the middle, and then all your junk will fall into this handy dandy sifter, and then everything else will fall in here. I use it to make relish. So what happens is when I grind up you get all your pickle stuff in here, but then you don't have to have a fucking juicy hot dog. You dump out that extra sauce. And they do fit on larger regular mouth mason jars. I would sell them for $75. Someday I'll raise the price, but for now they're $75. I started out at $90, and then I came down. I should have stayed at fucking $90. I don't know why I'm giving everybody a break.
But half the time we were walking around, she was screaming up at me, laying some heavy shit on me, just because she wanted to go talk to strangers she saw. Like, we'd be walking and she'd see a little girl or some lady. And I said, no, come on. Let's go. Come on. But parenthood gave me a conflicting thought. Not conflicting, but an interesting thought yesterday, because I like to reflect at the end of my days.
Yeah.
And at one point I was so stressed out because I was tired. Delilah might have been having a fit, and it was crowded. But half the time I'm thinking all those things, I'm also thinking, let one of these assholes bump into my babies. You know what I mean? So it's a weird thought. Dave, before this gets off the rails, because we've got a hard out at a specific time today because someone else is coming in.
Sure.
Let's talk about your comedy, man.
Yeah, sure. I'm so sorry.
No. It's all well and good.
It's just like when you listen. If you are a comic, when you don't always see your comedian friends and stuff, when you do, you get excited and you want to talk.
Yeah.
So So sorry. Yeah, sure.
Well, Joey Part 2 is out right now, and that happened because we were supposed to meet for a quick podcast. Ended up recording like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah.
No. So tell me what you got going on. Chipped Ham Comedy. You're producing all that.
Yeah, sure. So I decided to be an adult, so I now own a row company. It's called Chipped Ham Comedy. Right here in Pittsburgh.
You don't say.
Well, it's
anything other closer could have just been like Inat comedy.
Inat comedy, all that. Yeah.
Downtown comedy.
Yeah, down here comedy.
Yeah.
Down here. I love Pittsburgh. But so I do a monthly show at Espresso A Mano. Actually, so this Sunday, June 9th, Maddie Malloy. So we're actually doing kind of like a Pride Month show.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of like gay and queer comics. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Maddie Malloy, Joey Warder, I'm sorry, Georgia. Georgia. I don't know, where did I pull that out from? So it's because you
Joey Warder.
Joey Warder.
Joey Porter.
It's Joey Porter, Heinz Ward, Cordell Stewart.
Yeah. Slash is coming back, y'all.
So Maddie Malloy, Georgia Warder. I'm sorry, Georgia. Isaac Crow, Roy Gleckel, and Abby Hannes. I think I'm saying her name right. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. 7:30 p.m. on Sunday at Espresso A Mano, 3623 Butler Street. That's every month. Next month will be Amanda Averill as our headliner. In August, it's Tyler Ray Kendrick will be the headliner. And all the way in September, it's going to be Jeff Fieldhouse.
Okay.
So I got a whole schedule lined up. Those have been going very well. And I've been kind of like learning a lot about producing shows. Like for example,
pain in the dick, right?
What's that?
It can be a pain in the dick.
Oh yeah. So I have a little experience because I before I did comedy, I played in bands and I also produced like kind of like punk shows as well. So like I know kind of the bare bones of like producing like an event, but it's just the comedy show is just a whole different animal, as you know. But it's been a lot of fun. I've learned.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to start producing comedy shows, to an up and comer?
Know the neighborhood where you're producing. Know your demographic. Like, know who you're trying to reach. Like if you're 25 years old, you're gonna book comics who are like in their 20s, like people that are your friends and your peers that you know. Don't book shows at like a neighborhood that like young people don't go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, don't, like, if you are 25 years old trying to produce comedy shows, don't produce shows at like a nice place in Wexford, for example. You know what I mean? Just because like it's not your demographic.
Mm-hmm.
If you want like to be a bunch of like younger people, maybe that's not your crowd. You know what I mean? Like the great Chris Nakis does this show at one of my favorite rooms, which is Cafe Conmigo out in Wexford, right? He has regulars go there at every single show, and they're kind of like an over 30 crowd for the most part. You know what I mean? They're like in the neighborhood, people that like, they make a little money. You know what I mean? That want to go to a comedy show. He knows his demographic. His shows go great. You know what I mean? If you're a young person, you want to go somewhere like, for example, like I know like Chucky Lewis stuff is doing shows at Cases in Southside.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best place for him to do shows there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows the demographic. He knows who's coming there. That's, I did that show last month. It was fantastic. Do you know what I mean? So I would say know where you are producing, know who will go to these shows.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So example, like, and know how to promote those shows as well. Like, so I do my show in Lawrenceville, right? I know that people from Wexford, from Cranberry, from, Fox Chapel, from Highland Park, they're not going to drive to Lawrenceville for the most part to go to these shows. I reach out to the neighborhood. I put up posters up and down Lawrenceville, a little Bloomfield, and Millvale, because that's who's going to come to my show. And they've built all those condos and stuff, in the neighborhood. Lawrenceville has become like, it's very gentrified. I know that.
Yeah.
But
it's a specific crowd there too.
But I know that I can get the people that go to Espresso A Mano regularly, the people in the neighborhood. That's who comes to my show.
Mm-hmm.
And so, know who you're marketing towards, know who you're selling towards, because it is sales. Know who you're trying to sell this to. You know what I mean? So, it would be harder to get like people in their 40s and 50s and up to come to my show.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My crowd is like the 25 to like maybe 40 crowd. Usually don't have kids. Usually work and live in the neighborhood, that have nothing to do on a Sunday night because they don't have kids.
That's fair.
That's my crowd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that's like the number one important thing is I'm selling this product. Who am I selling it to?
I was always told, and it always happens like this when you're new and you want to start producing shows, you always book your friends. I was told early on, and I didn't always listen, don't book a quality show before you just book a bunch of your friends, because you want longevity.
Yeah.
People come to a bad show, a lot of times that sticks in their head.
Yeah.
Oh, this was a shit show. They're all going to be shit.
Yeah. Also, like, I try two things I strive for when producing is when I'm booking my comics is I'm trying to book like diverse comics, and I don't book the same people all the time. I've had a few repeaters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Amanda Averill, who's now headlining next month, she opened for a show last month. Last year.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, so she's one of my few repeaters. Zazriana Walker, who did a show last year, she's actually kind of the opening for Amanda next month. She's one of my few repeaters. But if you, and this is sincere, even if you're booking different headliners, if you book the same like 4 to 8 people to open these shows all the time, the people that, even if you have some regulars, they might stop coming to your show because they've seen Dave Stewart, for example, like 5 times.
Yeah.
They've heard what I have to say. They're done. Do you know what I mean? Or like a lot of times it's like, especially when you're an independent producer like I am, like I have a small company. It's just me, a lot of times you really do rely on like, you book like a comic that maybe are kind of newish to comedy. They're going to bring some friends with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you know what? I've been doing stand-up comedy for about 8 years now, and I'm 38 years old. Most of my friends are my age, around my age. A lot of my friends are married. A lot of them have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? My personal friends, for the most part, aren't going to come to, like, see me do comedy because they have shit to do, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because they don't want to. They have jobs and wives, husbands, and mortgages and kids.
Until I've had kids, I've never realized how busy life can be without doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes any sense to the listeners out there, like, oh, you didn't do anything. I raised these kids all fucking day. You don't know how chaotic that can be sometimes.
Yeah.
That in itself can be a lot.
Try and just get you and your wife and a baby dressed to get in the car to go to Target is a whole thing, man.
We got 2 little ones. And
yeah.
It's just sometimes it ends up being, why don't you just go? Why don't you just go?
Yeah.
Or I'll just go because this is too much right now.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
Yeah, because the kid won't put their shoes on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Or something to the,
yeah.
They get fussy for some reason, or somebody decided, it's time to be as I call them, a pea pot and just piss everywhere.
Yeah.
I never realized that until I had kids.
Oh, we've definitely been like on the way to the doctor, and my daughter has this like, she is dressed, she's in the car seat, and we hear, and then we're like, she just shit her pants.
Cordelia doesn't struggle with this as much anymore, but there used to be a lot of throw up.
Yeah.
A lot of little throw up. And that, people don't think that's much, but look, first off, that shit stinks after a while.
Yeah.
Like, I love my baby, but I'm at a point where I'm tired of smelling fucking formula. And she'll be eating stuff soon.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But okay, back to dad talk. So I got her these little crackers.
Yeah.
That are for 7 months old or whatever, because she's got teeth now.
Yeah.
That's great and all, but then it's a fucking mess everywhere with that shit too.
Yeah.
Like under her neck folds. It's like, Jesus Lord.
Oh, tell you what, nothing makes you feel worse than when just your kid's screaming, because all you want to do is wipe off their neck.
Yeah.
Because your kid, you're holding her in your arm, and you're feeding her, and she spits up, and it just gets lost in the folds of her neck. And my kid has a full head of hair. So, you know what? Today was bath day.
Okay.
Back of her hair was like crunchy from puke. Do you know what I mean? Because because people don't realize that you don't bathe your baby every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like twice a week.
There's going to be parents out there that are ostracizing us for saying that. But I agree.
Whatever.
I agree with you.
Okay. So
I throw in the dishwater once a week.
But so I try to have like a diverse group of comics. So I think that if you look at both my headliners and my supporting people for all my shows, you see white folks, black folks, gay folks, whoever, because what makes comedy amazing is you get like different perspectives. I think that when you go to a comedy show and everyone's like the same age, everyone comes the same background.
Well, I'll even extend it to you. Everyone's just got the same fucking, we're talking about this topic, and it's 6 people, and let's be honest, 6 dudes, all in a row, saying the same fucking general concept of like, oh, okay, well, let's get a fresh perspective here.
Yeah, and I think that that's how you find that good humor is when you just have so I try to have it so that when you go to a Chip Dan comedy show and there's 5 comics on the bill or 4, whatever it is, that each comedian is going to bring something different to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important. And then that's what makes comedy show fun is you're like, oh, this person is like like me, my jokes about what I know. I'm a 38-year-old married dad. I got a mortgage. I got a wife. I got a kid. I got multiple jobs. That's what I talk about. Do you know what I mean? But I think it'd be boring to have like a show with like 5 of me.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been on shows where it's been like 3, 4, or 5 of me. It's general versions.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hold people's attention.
Yeah.
And then where are you gonna find five white guys for the next show?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I have laughed sometimes where I've seen like a flyer and it's like 5 dudes and they're all wearing a backwards ball cap.
Mm.
And I'm like, and that's kind of goes with the thing about like, there are producers who I know, and I'm not trying to like shit on anybody who just like they book their friends.
Yeah, which do your thing. I'm not here to ostracize or judge anybody. Do what the fuck you want.
Do your thing, like work with who you like to work with. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of like, how do I say this? Maybe I shouldn't. So I'm all for like the hashtags and the movements of like more people of color as headliners or more women as headliners. And I get that, but the best way to do that is to become put them on.
Yeah.
Make your own show. Like, you can't control what other people do. Hopefully, those shows that you're so upset about, these hypothetical people I'm speaking about, just stop patronizing these people.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
I get it.
No. I agree with you, and I do think that, though maybe if you're just listening at home, I'm black, which is shocking to people because that's how I sound. But yeah, I'm black. So like, I think that so like, I personally feel that if you do not like how these producers are booking shows, one, I do think you should say something. I do think you should be like, hey man, I noticed,
absolutely.
I noticed that I see your shows and you only book usually it's like you only book these 8 people, or it's like
I support that because a lot of times people will confuse complacency with ill intent.
Yeah.
They may have only booked those 9 or 10 people, and that's just what they got in the pattern and habit of doing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily because fuck these women, you know, or fuck this Asian lady. It's
and this is the thing is that I think what happens a lot of times is I think that when you're producing a show and you do shows regularly, I think that people, it's I'm a working comedian. It's hard sometimes, and it's very nerve-wracking to just reach out to producers and be like, hey, I'd love to do a show sometime. Hey, can you, here's my video. Can you book me? I would love to do a show. You know what I mean? That's hard. It's hard to get out there. And I think that, if someone's like, oh, this person only books these people, I always ask, well, have you asked?
Yeah.
Have you just asked them like, hey, can I do this show?
Yeah.
The worst thing I can say is no. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
Because depending on how they react, could reveal their true feelings, and get to the bottom of something. The easiest way is just ask somebody.
Yeah, but I also feel that the best way, if you feel that someone's that there are producers that are being purposefully what's the word that are being purposefully that are excluding people from doing shows and whatnot.
That's a good way to put it.
I think the best thing you can do is to find your own space, book your own shows, and make them so fucking good that one, they'll outshine that other producer, and people will be knocking on your door to do your show. Do you know what I mean? And plus, also, I think that if you're a comic and you're like, oh, I'm not getting booked, I want to get booked. Find a space. Excuse me. Find a space. Find a bar, a cafe, a small theater, whatever it is. Find an American Legion, a VFW. Find your own space, and then book your own shows. And then guess what? Every month, you have at least one more show.
So I was on social media today, and was reading Dave Bracey's Facebook statuses and some of his comments and stuff.
Sure.
And he was asking, or just questioning about the number of black vendors and payment and things of that nature in other festivals around the city. And some guy, asked him something to the effect of, how do we bring this to light? And he had a response that says the only way we can exist or expose them is by existing beside them. Just showing like what the proper way to do it is. Shout out to the Barrel and Flow Fest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought that was fascinating, and it goes perfectly with what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you really want to expose someone for whatever their booking practices or their payments, the best way to do that is to exist beside them.
Yeah.
And essentially set an example.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Pittsburgh, people are usually shocked that Pittsburgh is not diverse. It really isn't. You know what I mean?
I mean, your neighborhoods are your neighborhoods. Yeah.
And Pittsburgh is a city of neighborhoods.
I would go with that. But the most diverse city I've ever been in, Seattle, Washington.
Oh yeah. Seattle, especially like most port cities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Have a lot of diversity historically, like for hundreds of years.
I know, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But like, places like I'm not sure if it is still now, but actually for a long time, Philadelphia was the only city north of the Mason-Dixon line that had a majority of black people in it.
Oh.
Yeah. But we travel a little bit, but you go places like Atlanta and Philly, Charlotte, Austin. It's just like
these are all huge name cities, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I think that people. I remember, my mom, her friend Cindy was visiting from Atlanta. Cindy's a white lady, okay, and she was a sheriff's deputy in Atlanta, and she was visiting. She had never been here before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're at a restaurant having breakfast, and Cindy says, "My mom," in this thick Southern accent, goes, "Kimberly, can I ask you a question, honey?" And my mom's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Where are your black people?" And my mom was like, you know what I mean? And Cindy was like, "I've been here for 3 days, and other than you, I have not seen a black person." Do you know what I mean?
And I guess one more for my defense here is when I think of towns outside of Pittsburgh that aren't diverse.
Yeah.
We've all been to a million little Pennsylvania towns, West Virginia towns that if you didn't bring a black person with you, there's not going to be one there. Like, that's the way to put it. You know what I mean? So that's what I think about, when I think about the difference between diversity.
Yeah. Well, here, we'll take this back because I know we're crushed for time and everything, but let's take it back to comedy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think there's sincerely a very clear divide in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Amongst the comedy communities. I know that
this is a very delicate way to put, I don't, because I'm not trying to offend anybody.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But there's people that mix in, but there's a black comedy scene.
For sure. 100%.
And I don't even want to say a white comedy scene, just everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a clear
line.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of the way that I came up in comedy, sincerely, just I guess I came up more in the everyone else scene.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I've definitely reached out to the more of the Pittsburgh black comedy scene, and it's hard to get in, sincerely. You know what I mean? And I think that and I feel that because Pittsburgh, I think, is very divided. Example, this bummed me out super hard, actually, by the way. A couple years ago, it went viral that Carnegie Mellon University had issued their incoming freshmen, or I think it was incoming freshmen. Yeah, I think it was incoming freshmen, a Pittsburgh City map. Okay, of the areas around CMU. And you look at the map, and they clearly excluded the black neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they kept Southside on there.
Okay.
Dude, Southside,
Southside's just as dangerous,
it's
but
just
it's not
as dangerous.
It's not because of any perceived racial threat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
that's. But it's so it's the kind of thing. And I know we're getting getting a little deeper here. I apologize. It's just that so it's you look at this map, and it was they had Uptown, which is it's the hill.
Yeah.
Fuck that. It's the hill.
Yeah.
It's Uptown. No one says Uptown. It's the hill.
Yeah.
Okay. So it said Uptown. Okay. They had Southside, but they didn't have like Allentown, for example, right?
Okay.
They excluded Lincoln Lemington, they excluded Homewood, they excluded these places, right? Which but they kept on the map though places that are also still lower income but aren't considered black neighborhoods. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of like places where like you're just as likely to get mugged in Lawrenceville than you are in Lincoln Lemington or something, you know what I mean? And I think that like,
I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't have a dog in the fight,
yeah.
but I wouldn't feel comfortable giving brand new CMU kids who
Yeah.
just got here a map to Homewood. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
right, but I don't want to be there, and I'm a grown man confident in myself. You know what I mean? I've worked in Homewood. I've been in Homewood a bunch.
Yeah.
I don't want to send no little kids there that are there for a computer or engineering degree.
Well, I guess my point is just that like I think that if we continue to kind of have it, and I understand like you got to be safe. You know what I mean? I keep
Yeah.
your head on a swivel. You know what I mean? I get that. But I think that like if we continue to kind of have this mindset of like these neighborhoods are bad and these neighborhoods are okay, where I feel that like
Over in like
okay, put it this way, is that I feel that like it seems that sometimes in our country and our culture and everything, I feel that like people are kind of okay with different kinds of crime. Do you know what I mean? Where I think that like Southside, for example, you're gonna see like, fights, people pissing in the street, people puking on people's stoops. You know what I mean? You're gonna see, people vandalizing places. You're gonna see.
well, if and if you cut down on those crimes in that area, though, you're also fucking with their local economy.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand that for sure. But I'm saying, so it's like, so I guess the point I'm trying to make is that like, I think that in Pittsburgh, there's kind of this usually unspoken thing, which I think is actually kind of hard. What we're getting at is that in Pittsburgh, there's unspoken thing of like, there's a very much an unspoken / spoken, like segregation that happens in Pittsburgh, where things are clearly segregated, where people feel, not saying this is what it is, but they feel like, well, I can't go here because that's not for me. This is for us. This is not for me. And I think that like you're seeing that a lot with like different festivals or different events, different like, I think that like I've definitely as a black person, I've definitely walked in places and been like, oh, I definitely am not the demo they're looking for in this event, this store, this festival, this market, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But I think the same goes with like where I feel that like where I think that like a lot of times I think that a lot of white people feel like, oh well, if I go here, not just like, oh, something might happen to me, it's almost like, oh, if I go here I won't be welcome. Do you know what I mean? And I think that like,
how do we combat the two simultaneously, though?
Exactly. I don't have the answer for that. I'm just a dumb comedian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to get too deep in race relations because I'll say the wrong thing to somebody.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this podcast was a lot of fun, and this went all kinds of places.
Yeah, I want to get you back on soon because we're running low on time.
Oh, sure. I'm so sorry.
And
man.
no,
Yeah.
it's it happens. It's life. But yeah, definitely it was a fucking blast. And you know what? Before we get off here, I see you got some notes there. Anything specific you want to bring up? You want to bring up some dates, promo yourself?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. First of all, thanks for having me, Johnny.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
I love you so much, man. I do.
Love you too, brother.
I love you so much. So this Sunday, I'll be at Espresso A Mano hosting the show with Maddie and Malloy. That's going to be a lot of fun, 7:30. On June 15th, I'm going to be at the Arcade Comedy Theater downtown, helping out with the Doom Scroll sketch comedy show. On the 21st, my friend Chris Hopper with the Poor Man's Podcast, producing his first comedy show. That's going to be at Bullseye Brewery up in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be there with Ronnie Fleming and some other
Shout out to Ronnie.
really funny people. July 5th, I'm going to be at King Fly Spirits with Derek Minto. July 13th, I'm going to be at Trust Brewing out in Pleasant Hills.
With
and then,
Mike Bosco.
With Mike Bosco.
See, I'm
Yeah,
paying
my
attention
dude,
out here.
absolutely. And then finally on July 21st, back at Espresso A Mano for Emin Averill Coffee and Comedy.
Okay. Wonderful. Where can the people find you as far as you have a website, social medias?
Oh, sure thing. So my personal, just kind of me trying to be funny, Instagram is you can find me on Instagram at biggest_Dave_412, or search Dave M. Stewart. That's me, Dave M. Stewart. Or you can search for Chipped Ham Comedy, which is just chipped_ham_comedy. Chipped Ham Comedy.
Before we leave, too, I'd like to ask for just a general piece of advice to the listeners out there. It doesn't have to be about anything specific, but just someone listening. What piece of advice would you give to them?
Oh, two things. One, believe half of what you hear, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. And two, you can catch a lot of flies with honey, but you catch a lot more honeys being fly.
Great advice from Dave, everybody. I love it. I didn't announce it in the beginning, but here we are recording it at Steel City Arts Foundation. Just want to give them another shout out for letting me use their space here.
Absolutely.
And congratulations to Learn More for getting the golden buzzer.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Yeah, congratulations to
amazing.
him. I recorded the episode before this with his roommate, Jesse, and the audio got all corrupted and fucked up. So look for another Jesse episode coming out in the future. Congratulations to Learn More.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your baby.
Thank you very much. You too as well. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All the success you've had, man. I see you just pushing along. I love it. And it couldn't be, happen to a nicer guy.
Oh, dude, thank you so much.
By the
That's
way.
amazing. Yeah.
So, guys, until next week, thanks for listening.
This is the Inquisitive Minds